Welcome to Eye on America. I'm Michelle Miller. Today we share the stories of student athletes, educators, and researchers who are leaving a mark on their communities. First, with the Great Resignation in full swing, companies across the country are experiencing historic turnover, with more than 47 million American workers quitting their jobs last year. A recent survey found employees have been leaving positions for reasons such as toxic company culture, low salary, and a lack of a healthy work-life balance. But Chris Van Cleve has one proposed solution: a shortened work week.
When Emily Lutchins started at Uncharted in 2020, the Denver-based nonprofit was running an experiment. Could they maintain 100% productivity and pay while working 20% less?
It's an opportunity to take a step back and think about how you can be smarter with your work.
Are you happier working 4 days a week instead of 5?
I'm definitely happier. And I think that I'm just living my life better.
Nationally, 92% of employees favor a 4-day work week. But CEO Banks Benitez wanted to know his business wouldn't suffer. So he brought in an analyst to track productivity and the impact of a 4-day week on employees.
How has that changed how you guys do business?
It's changed everything. I mean, it reduced workplace stress, reduced burnout. We saw no reduction in productivity, and every Friday it was off.
Henry Ford's assembly line ushered in the standard 5-day work week in 1926. And while that remains the norm, today's workforce is demanding better life balance, a trend sped up by the pandemic. In Iceland, roughly 85% of the country works or will soon work 4 days a week. Earlier this year, Belgium announced employees can opt to work 4 10-hour workdays. And across North America and the UK, dozens of companies, including crowdfunding site Kickstarter, are testing a 4-day week.
Can the 4-day work week work for everyone?
Now, that's unlikely to work for everyone.
Bill Shanninger from consulting firm McKinsey & Company.
The challenge is for the portion of the workforce that has gotten a taste of flexibility. Flexibility, full stop, is way more attractive than still the mandate, but on a shorter number of days.
California Congressman Mark Takano has introduced legislation to make workers eligible for overtime after 32 hours instead of 40.
It's time to re-examine, what the work week should look like in the 21st century.
At Uncharted, the new norm means prioritizing what's important.
So we're really thoughtful about what is the most essential work that we're doing. Is this meeting really critical for us to have? Can we cancel this meeting?
You're canceling meetings?
Any given work week, we will cancel 10% of the meetings, 15% of the meetings, because we don't need them, they're not essential, or we just shorten them.
Are you hiring?
For Emily Lutchins, the extra time is making balancing her career with being a new mom a little easier.
Could you see yourself ever going back to a job that was Monday through Friday?
It would be hard.
Working smarter to get more time for herself.
Now we turn to a cool innovation in California, where there's a reusable ice cube that doesn't melt and could transform the food supply chain. Jonathan Vigliotti met with the researchers developing what's known as jelly ice.
At UC Davis's Robert Mondavi Institute of Wine and Food Sciences, a team of researchers is reimagining the ice cube.
This is what we call jelly ice.
Jelly ice stays just as cold for just as long as traditional ice, with one key difference. It doesn't melt, thanks to a gelatin membrane that traps water in its cube-like shape.
So now that you have this in its mold, what do you do to make it set in its forever shape?
We put it in the fridge.
That's it?
Yeah.
Once chilled, the cube can be manipulated into any form. PhD candidate Jian Zhou says this ice will revolutionize how food is kept cold while shipped.
So here we have 2 pieces of salmon fillet on top of ice and jelly ice here. They've been out for about an hour already. So you can see ice already melted, and then all around is the melt water. So the fish is basically sink in a pot of water right now.
Cross-contamination and inadequate climate control across the supply chain are among the leading causes of food waste. According to a peer-reviewed study by the journal Global Environmental Change, nearly half of all seafood in the U.S. spoils before reaching the market.
The whole development of jelly ice cube started with our concerns over the compromised food safety and food quality loss caused by temperature abuses in the food cold chain.
Associate Professor Lucien Wang came up with the idea for jelly ice after a visit to her fish market, when she realized there needed to be a better alternative to ice cubes and even ice packs.
What makes jelly ice better than that plastic packed ice?
We don't use plastics. We use protein, which is compostable.
Plastic ice packs are not biodegradable, and they clog landfills. Wang says jelly ice is 90% water, 100% biodegradable, and can be reused more than a dozen times.
If you don't want to use them, you can compost them and throw them in your garden. Once you mix them with the potting soil, they actually support the growth of your plant.
Wang and her team hope to eventually replace gelatin with easier-to-source agricultural byproducts, like proteins discarded by America's soybean industry. The idea is considered so revolutionary, the USDA awarded her team a $485,000 grant for their research.
They all come from natural-based product.
Professor Dr. Gong Sun says in addition to saving the environment, this sustainable ice can also save water and energy.
As a researcher, our goal obviously was to develop something meaningful, problem solving.
We're very excited about this, and I definitely feel like there will be even more applications down the road as we move forward.
After the break, another cool story, especially for college athletes cashing in big time from a $14 billion industry. We'll be right back. The game has changed for college athletes. Just last year, the NCAA began allowing students to monetize and profit from their name, image, and likeness. Brooke Silva Braga takes us to Florida to see how some are navigating this new playing field.
Miami lawyer John Ruiz has made a fortune litigating against insurance companies. If a planned acquisition of his business goes through this summer, he'll be worth more than $20 billion.
Does it have a bad law?
But John Ruiz and his money are relevant to this story only because he's also a big fan of University of Miami athletics.
Go Canes.
And has started paying Miami athletes as product endorsers for his new health app, Life Wallet.
I love Life Wallet. I love Life Wallet. What's the budget?
So we set out $10 million for the calendar year 2022.
For NIL deals?
For NIL deals, yes.
And how much of that have you been able to spend so far?
We've put out almost $2 million already.
The money is going to dozens of Miami athletes, from $6,000 a year for volleyball player Angela Grieve.
I assume this isn't what you expected when you became a college athlete.
No, definitely not.
Up to $60,000 for star quarterback Tyler Van Dyke. Ruiz emphasizes it's not a handout. Athletes are required to make promotional videos and take training to improve their communication skills. But the fact the money might also attract new talent to Miami is lost on no one.
When you invest $10 million, I assume you hope it'll have an impact on the field.
There's no doubt. Do I want the University of Miami to win? Absolutely.
The idea all of this is allowed now is a giant change for college sports, and it follows decades of the NCAA forbidding athletes from being paid, even when fans bought their jersey, even as college sports became a $14 billion industry.
People were really sympathetic to the athlete, and the NCAA became the enemy.
Sports business reporter Darren Ravel covered decades of promised, but mostly stalled NCAA reform. Then last summer, reform was imposed on college sports when several state legislatures passed laws giving their athletes name, image, and likeness rights, just as the Supreme Court dealt another blow to NCAA control, ruling they'd violated antitrust law.
The NCAA, once they lost that case, went, all right, you guys figure it out.
College athletes can be in commercials now?
Dr. Pepper, it's the one DJ deserves.
In a flash, college athletes won new freedom.
Life is a lot like a race.
University of Central Florida track star Renaya Jones started doing commercials for a local bank. That pays $1,500 a month.
Has it changed your life as a college athlete?
It actually has. You know, it just really puts me in a better position for my finances, especially when I graduate.
Says my name on it, running back.
Isaiah Bowser sells t-shirts.
It's like your own website.
That's right, shopbowser.com.
But pretty much immediately, college boosters also started making websites to gather money into NIL collectives. Louis Padilla is CEO of Dreamfield, the company that helped University of Central Florida fans launch their collective, called Mission Control.
What's a collective?
A collective is really a group of alumni, boosters that come together and pool resources.
And then they can just hand out the money in envelopes, or what?
No, not necessarily. There are rules around it.
To stay clear of NCAA eligibility rules, the money can't be an inducement to recruit a player to a specific school. It can't be tied to their play on the field. And the athlete must do something in exchange for the money that justifies the amount they're paid.
They gave me like a contract, and I got like deliverables that I got to do each time.
Mission Control had wide receiver Ryan O'Keefe make a social media post.
Go tell somebody, your mama, your auntie, anybody that's got a phone, to go and sign up for Mission Control. There's the deliverable that I just completed.
That has to be the easiest $350 you ever made.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But the NIL dollar amounts are growing dramatically higher at the upper echelons of college football.
There's schools that have no shot to recruit certain high school players because they're going to go to where they're paid the most.
Leading some, including Ole Miss football coach Lane Kiffin, to insist the deals are being used to win players.
Oh, Brooke, you've come to the right guy, because I'm going to tell you about the ugly side of NIL.
Lawyer Mike Caspino negotiates on behalf of high school players and says some collectives are aggressively skirting the rules by offering this.
We will pay you a large sum of money, just south of $1 million, but we could ask for you to pay it back, plus interest, at any time we like.
They're doing that so that if a student doesn't go to their school, they can ask for the money back.
Correct.
I have no problem with players getting paid in a free market scenario if you want that, but do not masquerade it as name, image, and likeness. It's not.
John Ruiz, the one booster willing to speak to us on camera, says he's following the rules and not using NIL to recruit.
Normally, if you look at the NIL deals that we have, we give them to the kids after they committed, not before.
And he says all those Life Wallet videos prove his athletes are doing real work.
Make sure you hit the app so you don't strike out.
In exchange for the millions he's paying.
Go to your app store and search for this blue icon.
But it's worth noting, after nearly 3 months of NIL promotion, the Life Wallet app has just one written review in the Apple App Store and fewer than 100 downloads from the Google Play Store. Still, Ruiz says he's gotten his money's worth through publicity from news stories like this one.
I mean, anybody can say whatever they want, but take them to a court of law and have them say that we're not getting our bang for the buck.
But who would do that? In many states, local agencies or the universities themselves are left to police the hazy field of name, image, and likeness.
If the NCAA is hands off, this will become the new free market system. What are you worth? Whatever a booster is willing to pay to get you to this school.
We now move from college campuses to preschool classrooms. A recent survey found out of 5,000 childcare providers, 2/3 reported experiencing a staffing shortage that affected their ability to serve families. But as Mark Strassman shows us, one Atlanta preschool found help in a surprising place.
At the Fraser Center, everyone's learning, not just the kids. 7 new teachers, all Afghan war refugees.
It's a win-win on both ends.
Susie Riddick, Director of Child Development.
This opens up a new door for us.
Thank you, Ashley. It's a 4-month pilot program.
One, two, three.
The Afghans, paid interns, become certified as childcare instructors and will qualify for full-time jobs.
Say apple.
As they teach, they're also taught. English classes 3 days a week.
Sometimes I speak my language with the kids. Some kids say, "You are French?" I am not French. I'm from Afghanistan.
Fahima Imak is a 33-year-old refugee from Kabul.
Children is not different. Every children are same.
You have your little badges there. Which one do you use the most?
Listen to me. Listen, ears.
A universal maternal language.
In the beginning, we weren't really sure what to expect. And at the end of it, we're hoping to be able to hire them all as part of our team.
Are you ready?
A life-changing moment for the entire school.
That story is good for the soul. Up next, can being spiritual affect your heart health? Stay tuned. This is Eye on America. Spirituality has often been tied to both physical and mental well-being. And now new research finds it may also help heart failure patients. Michael George has the report.
Pat Gurney was diagnosed with heart failure 7 years ago after her daughter, who's a nurse, noticed a change.
I was going up the steps and I'm very active. And she said, "Mom, are you short of breath?"
The 73-year-old considers herself a spiritual person, a devout Catholic who prays every day, mostly for others.
I've just prayed and asked God for the grace and strength to get through these things. And I knew at that point when I was diagnosed that I was strong and physically and in my faith.
New research shows spirituality can improve the quality of life for heart failure patients like Pat. Researchers at Duke University Hospital reviewed nearly 50 studies on the topic, including a 2017 study Duke conducted.
Incorporating aspects of spirituality actually reduced anxiety, depression.
Spirituality can be hard to define. Researchers say many describe it as how people find meaning and purpose in life, which can be separate from religious beliefs. Study co-author Dr. Robert Mentz is the chief of heart failure at Duke, which is now developing a spirituality screening tool.
You can ask these questions about purpose, peace, and meaning. I think that opens the door to hopefully improve patient care.
I continue to walk and I continue to garden and just stay active. And when the grandchildren are around, chase them around.
Pat takes medication for her condition and says she's grateful her faith and family bring her such comfort.
And finally, we end in Texas, where an ambitious restoration project is working to identify and digitize records of nearly 200,000 people registered as slaves. Last May, Rodney Hawkins dug deep into the archives at Stephen F. Austin State University in search of his own family history.
Let us all pray together.
What started as a simple search for family history a year ago is becoming a multi-generational journey of self-discovery.
Good to see you.
Family members came from all over the country to complete the restoration of our nearly 2-century-old cemetery, Old Mount Gilead, like my great-uncle Billy Curl from Los Angeles.
This is the one that I was named after. Bill Curl, that's my namesake.
Bill Curl, a sharecropper, was my great-great-grandfather. We found his grave, bringing to life unexpected memories for my granny.
It was wonderful. You had your grandma on there, and your grandma talked about who her parents were, and then she found her grandfather. We were then able to go and find him in the records.
Linda Reynolds and Kyle Ainsworth are digging deep into the archives at Stephen F. Austin State University.
There are 182,576 slaves in Texas in the 1860 census.
Wait, say that again.
Yeah. 182,576.
They're digitizing the records for each enslaved person registered as property in Texas. They call it the Lone Star Slavery Project.
Why is it just now getting done?
Somebody has to be interested in wanting to do it. Where did my Curl family come from?
I have a feeling inside of these books, you're about to tell me a great story.
We begin with the Bill of Sale from 1842.
I do buy here, sell, and transfer
$5,900 for 14 slaves, including
Richard A. Negro boy, aged about 20 years. So if I'm thinking right, that Richard is my great-great-great-granddad.
Yeah.
I'm getting kind of emotional reading this, just because, I'm sorry. Despite this being a document that shows my ancestor as an asset, it still documents that he existed.
Your reaction is the whole reason to do the research.
They found many more priceless documents. We shared them with some of Richard's oldest living descendants, my granny, Curlin Hurd, great aunt, Ironell Maxey, and great uncle, Billy Curl.
This is the first document.
Starting with the Bill of Sale.
There are two things. One is I want to cry, and I'm trying my best not to. And the second one is that's my slave name. I'd like to know what my African name is.
I don't know. I'm speechless.
I don't know. I have a history now. It's not even understandable.
These documents, including Richard's 1867 voter registration, help us understand how far we've come and how far we have yet to go.
I remember going to the polls with my father. He had to recite the alphabet before they would let him vote.
That's humiliating.
And he did it and paid $2 for his poll tax. I'll never forget that.
We're restoring the cemetery to honor our ancestors who endured for us to be here.
Oh, pretty.
Yeah.
My cousin, Sonny Tomlin Seitz, drove from Houston to thank them.
It's just special to be able to pay respect.
Right.
That's the thing, paying respect.
We don't have generational wealth. We're not millionaires, we're not wealthy people, but we have a home, and I call that our legacy.
There's much more work to do.
For all those who've shown up, we thank you.
And we pray we can continue to restore our legacy for generations to come.
For more stories like these and live coverage of breaking news 24/7, stream us right here on CBS News. I'm Michelle Miller, and thank you for watching Eye on America.